Welcome to week 3 of NFL football. Week 3 picks.
Oh my god! Oh jeez, oh my god!
I tell you guys to bet and on which teams, because I'm sure you'll get rich real fast. Last week actually was pretty good. I think I got about 10 predictions correct, and then I think I had, 4 that I didn't. 4 or 5 that I didn't. So this week should be better. Most of the games look pretty easily predicted. But we're going to start with game number 1 for tomorrow, Thursday Night Football, Tennessee Titans versus the Jacksonville Jaguars. And that game is all Titans to lose. I think the Titans will win by 2 touchdowns. They have a quarterback. They have a good defense. They have a good team. They just have to get it done. If Marcus Mariota doesn't get it done, then it's time to move on. Because this is a game that he should win. You can't lose games that you should win and expect your team to make the playoffs. If you can't win easy games, especially with the Jacksonville Jaguars not having a quarterback, then it's time to get real, and you're not as good as most people thought you were. Especially after losing to the Colts last week. And I mean, they're beat up. They don't have the actual real quarterback that would have been Andrew Luck. Like, if they would have lost to Andrew Luck, okay, they lost to a good quarterback. But Jacoby Brissett, come on, dude. And then whooping on the Browns? No. You're either good or you're not, Titans. Make your decision right now. Moving on. Dolphins versus Cowboys. Dolphins... Basically, another bye week for the Cowboys. They've been playing 3 trash teams, and I'm going to have to hear about how the Cowboys are Super Bowl contenders when they haven't played anyone worth a damn. They play the Redskins, who have legit no quarterback. I think they ended up playing the Giants, and they're trash. And then now they're going to play the Dolphins. They're probably going to have one of the best offenses as of week 4 after they play the Dolphins, because it's the Dolphins, who are trash. That's an easy game. Cowboys should win by 3 touchdowns. Bengals versus Bills. You know what? The Bengals are not a pushover team, but they're not good either. And Andy Dalton ain't doing nothing for that team. The running game's okay. The defense is trash. I'm giving this game to the Bills. They're 2-0. They're New York's best team right now. And, as long as they keep playing the way they're playing, sound defensive football, running game is going well, throwing down the field when you're supposed to, not forcing the ball, especially with the quarterback, the second-year quarterback that they have. This should be a game the Bills should win by a touchdown and a field goal. Lions versus Eagles. So the Lions are weird. Like, one week they'll play good, the other week they'll be trash. The Eagles are hurt, they're injured. I think they have about 5 players, significant starters, that are hurt. So I don't know what to believe, because I get confused by the Lions. One week they're good, the other week they're trash. They're playing the Eagles, who aren't a pushover team regardless. I'm going to go with the Eagles. I think the Eagles win this game. I think Carson Wentz will make stuff happen out of nowhere. The Lions will find a way to lose, and it is what it is. Jets versus Patriots. I'm going to skip this one. It's the Patriots. I mean, the Jets don't have an actual quarterback. Their team stinks, and all that hype, just like the Browns, they're trash. But I'll give it credit to the Jets. They do have players injured. It's not like their team's all healthy. They have players that are injured all over the field, and this isn't fair, especially the Patriots. That's an easy win. Falcons versus Colts. So this one's actually pretty interesting. This is one of my favorite games of the week, one of my favorite matchups. The Falcons are the Falcons, but they can be good one week. They can be trash the next week. They ended up beating the Eagles, but the Eagles are all beat up. But they still have Julio Jones. They still have Matt Ryan. The defense is okay. The team's playing very sound, but they barely beat the Eagles because the Eagles are all beat up. So the Colts are beating teams like the Chargers, was close to beating a team like the Chargers. They ended up beating the Texans. So I'm going with the Colts. I think the Colts actually make it happen. Their defense is good. Their offensive line is very good. Their wide receivers are pretty decent. Jacoby Brissett just can't beat himself. He can't do what Jameis Winston does constantly. He has to just be smart, run the ball, play good defense, and throw down the field when there's a guy that's wide open. And don't force things. And I think the Colts will end up winning that game by a touchdown. Raiders versus Vikings. I think this is a fairly even match team. I do think the Vikings win. Why? Because Dalvin Cook is on a mission to be the best running back this season. He's doing a great job. He's keeping the Vikings alive. Kirk Cousins, I've given him all the doubt in the world, and he simply, to me, is not a star quarterback. I always thought he was above average. Now I'm starting to look at him in the average category, and he ain't really helping them much, especially on the money he's getting paid. I think the Vikings are pretty desperate to maximize the potential of their team that's right now, and they have a really good roster. They just haven't put it together. And then Kirk Cousins makes stupid throws. He fumbles the ball in crucial times in the red zone, and he ends up losing games for them. So I just feel like the Vikings, even though they're not as good as I think they should be, I think they end up beating the Raiders. But I would not be surprised if the Raiders actually won this game. If they were to make stuff happen. Their defense is getting a little bit better. They're able to pressure better. The team as a whole is sound. So this could go either way, but I'm going to give the benefit of the doubt to the Vikings. Their defense is good. And we know what we have in the Vikings, and I think they can win that game. Ravens versus Chiefs. My game of the week is the Ravens versus Chiefs. Because the Ravens will, with their defense, will show us what Patrick Mahomes can do when being pressured. Because that's one thing the Ravens do, and I've always loved about the Ravens, is the way that their defense is to smash you in the mouth, punch you right in the teeth, defense that they are, and they're going to get after Patrick Mahomes. They're going to get after him. They're going to pressure him. They're going to tease him with certain looks, and then they're going to get interceptions. And I think this is when you start seeing Patrick Mahomes making mistakes, because he will be pressured. The Ravens are playing great offensive football. Lamar Jackson's playing very smart and sound football. He's actually, I think he has about 7 touchdowns by now, probably more. But half of those are against the Miami Dolphins, so I don't even look at those. And he's playing good. He looks like he's determined to, make people look like fools, especially the media. And to me, I think the Ravens win this game. I think their defense will play just good enough. And I know with the Chiefs, you have to score like 50 points to beat them. That's the thing with the damn Chiefs, because they can put up points. They're, to me, the best offense in the league, because Patrick Mahomes is good. They have a great running game. The scheme is great. Receivers are those distant, deep threat receivers, and they all do a good job getting down deep. And you have to get after Patrick Mahomes, and that's what the Ravens do best. They pressure you. They just pressure you until you make mistakes, and then that's when they end up winning football games. So I'm going to actually give it to the Ravens, and we'll see what happens, because the Ravens, even though people aren't really sold in them, they play just good enough to the point where they can make stuff happen, and I think they win that game. Even though Patrick Mahomes, I think this is a surprise win for the Ravens. Now, Broncos versus Packers. This is the easy win for the Packers. The Broncos don't know what to do offensively. They look like they're flustered still. It's been about 5 years already that they've really haven't had an offense. And the defense is getting a little older, but it's still sound. But the Packers have a new defense that they acquired in free agency and through the draft. The offense is starting to click better. And I don't think that Rodgers, since he's a veteran, he won't do stupid things and throw those dumb interceptions that most teams can maybe capitalize on. He's a veteran. So I do think the Packers win that game, and I think they win by 2 touchdowns. Panthers versus Cardinals. I'm actually going to give this game to the Cardinals. They have a good defense to stop the run. fairly decent secondary against the pass, but they're going to go against a pretty bad quarterback. So it's going to be all on McCaffrey, and I don't think he'll be able to, take this team by himself. And at least Kyler Murray has that upside where he can make things happen. The Panthers defense is good, and it's basically two bad teams, but they both have fight in them, and I do think the Cardinals end up winning this game. Giants versus Buccaneers. This should be an easy win for the Giants. The reason why I say that is they got the new quarterback who played good in preseason. He looks like he has a better arm than Eli Manning. I've been, thinking they should just move on from Eli, and they finally have. Their offense is okay, but he might be like the factor that pushes them a little bit better. And I do think the Giants end up beating the Bucs because I think the Buccaneers and Jameis Winston will make some stupid play, interception, fumble, and they just won't get things done. So I just think that the Giants will end up winning that game by a touchdown. Saints versus Seahawks. Seahawks, they need to thank us for, I guess, injuring Breeze, because if it wasn't for that, the Seahawks wouldn't have a chance. But they're going to go against Teddy Bridgewater, and he'll have another week of practice and seeing what he can do. But I don't think it'll be enough. I think the Seattle Seahawks win that game against the Saints. Texans versus Chargers. I'm going to give it to the Texans. Their defense is playing good. The Chargers' offensive line is pretty bad, and the running game is okay. Rivers has been playing bad the last couple of weeks. So I'm going to give it to the Texans. Deshaun Watson let me down against the Colts, but the team is good. The Texans have a high upside, but once they start thinking like they're losers, then they're going to start playing like losers. That's what they did last week. But I do think the Texans have an edge. Steelers versus 49ers. This will be a test for the 49ers. They're 2-0, but they've played two bad teams already. The Steelers are a pretty decent team, plus they have Minkah Fitzpatrick. I think the Steelers will beat the 49ers and end their undefeated streak. Rams versus Browns. I got the Rams winning mainly because of three things. The Browns' offensive line is trash. The Rams' secondary is so good. I think they'll actually match pretty good against those Browns' weapons, while the defensive line and front seven get after Baker Mayfield. And then the Rams seem to be getting better and better offensively, and I think the fact that the defense will kind of keep them to like maybe 20 points, but the Rams will probably end up scoring like 30 in the 30s range. So I do give the Rams the victory against the Browns. And then last but not least, the Bears versus the Redskins. Bears, to me, if they can just get their quarterback position in line, they're going to be a threat. But since it's Mitchell Trubisky, he ain't playing well. He's overrated. A lot of people think he's a decent quarterback, and he was better than Goff last year because I guess the defense was pushing him all the way through the playoffs. Now he's starting to play like shit. Everybody's starting to look at him like he's playing like shit. The Chicago Bears are playing like shit because of that. And the Redskins actually might have a fair chance. But the Redskins start off hot, and by the second half, they start playing like trash. But I think the Redskins win this game. I do think they barely win, and it's going to be a defensive battle. I don't have any faith in either offense. But I think the Redskins play just good enough offense to win this game. So those are my predictions. Let me know what you guys think. Last week I did fairly good. The week before that I was like 50-50. But this week I think I'm going to go maybe 11 right predictions. So let me know what you guys think. Until next time, you guys.